Hi colleagues, I want to remind you that we have the second session of the Digital Art Mobility Conference 2021, and we are welcoming our next speakers. And first of all, Lucy will make another introduction.
Thank you. Thank you what will stay with us, and thank you who join now. And I want to start from short obvious what we discuss in this session. We discuss with the digital residency program what have appeared before the quarantine. One of them is the first such project in the world, and aims to support artists in the various state in the process of artistic experimentation and promote digital residency as an alternative space for new visions. Support for artwork created employing digital processes, exploring the boundaries of art and technology, promoting artists who work with experimental mediums and are outsiders of usual gallery system. Finally, we will discuss digital art, ecology, and crypto art, which has become a hot topic in the digital world over the past 6 months. Other speakers: Mary Chamout, Montreal, Speak Air; Tom Milnes, Director of Digital Artist Residency, London; Winston, Chen, and Wednesday Kim, its co-founders and curator, Deformal, New York; and Nikita Khudyakov, its media artist, X8 driver, educator, and culture manager from Kharkiv. I think what all this session we talk about how artists feel yourself in a new quarantine conditions, but we also talk about how digital art start more important in the culture field and art stage in all of world. And before, I want to present a small my small research about how artists and how curators and founders of different initiative art residency think and what they talk about digital format. Some of them start work with digital tools only when happened a pandemic, but most of them work with digital program and digital tools very long time. At first, I want to talk when I was when I was asked the artist about how they impressions of online programs when they only start to try how it not physical, only online program. Yes, I got different opinions. Most said what the digital format could not replace live communication, and it was better to create collaboration projects only offline. Other were not satisfied with the quality of communication with the curators and organizers. And but some artists say what is great time. There is an opportunity to work in your studio and not move anywhere and be in touch with many other artists. From the curators, I hear about the main advantages of online format. Includes artists who cannot travel due to disability, money, family commitments, due to the health, family, or work reasons. Accessibility for physical disabled. Creates opportunities to artists who cannot obtain visas due to the country they are from. Artists who would be put off applying to in-person residency because they are mistrustful or don't feel represented by the artwork seem more willing to take a chance to join a virtual program. Online residency not only allowed residency operators to support artists, but also create to alternative space for artists to experiment, explore ideas, and connect with a wide audience. For artists working in new media and digital arts, it's very important. Creates wider community wider community by geographical location. The native format of digital arts, it means about really place only for digital arts, not for some adapted program. Yes, it's only a place for digital artists. Global reach for participants, artists, and audience. Yes, and they think what it's better for climate change. I think we can to it's good thing for discourse because we use the internet and how it what is better to fly in the in air or use internet we can to discuss today. Okay, and we have 4 minutes for start. Maybe now we can to use the your general chat and try to meet each other and present each other today. We can to build small networking in a 2 or 3 hour in other conference. With chat we can to share with each of participant of this conference and I think you can to create something, co-create. If you remember from first session, co-create a great project. Thank you, Michael. Michael, start with chat. I think you can to share your information. Please, don't hesitate.
And I want to highlight that all the events like this provide us a great value, which is people and connections. And we cannot make any projects when we don't connect all together. So this event provides us a splendid opportunity just to speak to each other, maybe create some project together in the future, and we can better know each other. We can listen to what the people do, and sometimes some ideas sparkle just out of nowhere, and you see, oh, I want to do this and that with that person, and I feel some personal connection to that project, and I hope that this conference will end with such beautiful results like new collaborations.
Okay, I think we can text during the speech, yes, and thank you. And we start, and I want to present first speaker of second session. It's Mary Shamwood with when I search a different initiative, organization, and art residency, I try to find something unique. And when I find them Speak Air, I understand what they use. Very interesting system of presenting of artists. And if I could understand, it's not start as a residency project, start as a some platform to promotion of art. And before 1 year before start lockdown, yes, we start a residency program in the same online format. Mary is
Mary is a director at a Speak Air online residency from Montreal. Founded in 2016, Speak Art has promoted funded artist residency programs and fellowships from across the globe. In 2019, they launched its first residency program, Speak Air, inviting international artists to conduct their research on the digital platforms. Their mission is to support artists at the various stages in the process of artistic experimentation and to promote digital residency as an alternative space for new visions. Mary, we would like you to start your presentation. Please go on.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me well?
hi.
Okay, thank you, Lucy and Olena, for the introduction. And I just want to congratulate all the speakers from the first section. That was so amazing to see, and I've learned a lot from you guys. And then it was such an inspiration. So as Lucy and Olena already explained, I'm a director of Speak Art and a speaker. So I'm gonna share my slide with everyone. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Before jumping into our residency program, I'm going to talk a little bit about Speak Art first. So Speak Art promotes paid or free residency programs and fellowships from across the globe. So let me show you the website so you get the idea what I do. So yeah, this is the website. Our mission is to empower artists by providing free resources to search paid opportunities worldwide. So I started this website originally as a kind of my personal research on artist residencies, because my goal was and still is to find the best suited residency model for Speak Art and run it here in Montreal. But for the last 4 years, our community grew and now became a hub of over 4,000 international members of diverse communities. And yeah, also in 2017, we started interviewing artists who participated in the residency program. So recently we interviewed Marc-Andre Arboleda from Indonesia. So yeah, this project helped us to get deeper insights into different international residency practices, but this time from an artist's perspective. And then while operating Speak Art, we decided to start our own residency program called Speak Air. So here. Which is for us to learn more about residency practice, but from hands-on experience this time. And I got lots of questions like why I decided to do digital residency rather than physical residency. It was simply because we wanted to be financially feasible as we are self-funded. And more importantly, we wanted to explore the possibilities of digital platforms as sort of an alternative model of residency practice. Let me go back to the slides. So in October 2019, we launched the first open call without knowing what was coming in 2020. So with our program, we support artists on the various stages in the process of artistic experimentation. In other words, we don't ask for complete work as a result, but expect artists to share their minds and ideas while making artworks. This idea comes from Johan Pesat's idea of process, which I quote. Process in the art context refers to the artist's own development of ideas and the interest in sharing this with an audience as a part of the work in practice. So we started thinking on digital platforms, how can we put this vision into practice? So speakers, methods, and platforms. For the first edition, we chose Facebook as a tool because first of all, it's user-friendly and everyone has an account, of course. And secondly, for artists to share ideas easily, we needed a function like live streaming so that they can reach out to the audience 24 hours, 7 days from their time zone. And as the first edition, we tried to keep everything simple and easy to use for artists and an audience. And during the residency period, we asked artists to be on live at least once a week and make it daily posts when they had extra time. So this was basically like a Facebook takeover. So our first resident artist was Bailey Keough. So she started her residency in February. Her project, Politician James, was to build a political campaign for a computer-generated politician for a future where all aspects of business and political process are facilitated through blockchain technology. So from the beginning, she had a clear vision of her project, wanted to use this residency as a sort of introduction of her concept to the public. I'll show you a snippet of her live sessions. There you go. Yeah, I'm not gonna put the audio, but yeah, so for this session, she invited her artist friend slash a blockchain technology expert, and they discussed the potential use of this decentralized monetary system as a way of financial freedom for cultural workers. The session lasted over 40 minutes, so I'm not gonna play until the end, but you get the idea. Yeah, but over the course of residency, Bailey spent a lot of time online, giving viewers a background information about the technology first. And through a conversation with her peers, she showed us the evolution of the project. 1 month was definitely a very short amount of time, considering the complexity of the project. And a couple of her live sessions got canceled due to her health issues. But I think this program gave her the opportunity to reflect the preliminary research that she has done so far. And I hope this experience inspired her to make the vision come true in the near future. So overall for Bailey, our platform worked as a sort of digital mind map. Oops. Yeah, so our second resident, Yasmin Allen, took a completely different approach to Bailey's. She started her residency in March, which was the very beginning of the lockdown around the world. She presented to us her ongoing project called Illogical Innocence, in which she impersonates a Japanese idol. So for those who are not familiar with this culturally specific term, idol is used to describe a young entertainer in Japanese pop culture. They're often worshipped by their fans for their innocent image and look. So Yasmin, by using the image of this Japanese kawaii idol, wanted to challenge the physical, virtual, and factual fictional dichotomies to reveal potential contradictions in mainstream narration. So during the residency, she used our platform as a testing ground for this persona. And on our Facebook page, she was always in the fictional character and never revealed her real self until the end. I'm gonna play her live shows as an example. Yeah, so if you see her Facebook Live for the first time, you actually believe that she is potentially a Japanese idol. And because of that, our Facebook page kind of attracted the different type of audience. In this case, a group of men that were interested in pop culture or like Asian women. So our page at some point became a bit like a Tinder, which with an interesting twist over the course of her residency. But we saw some interesting conversations and exchanges between the artist and the audience too. So yeah, for Yasmin, our platform became a place for her social and cultural experimentation. I'm just gonna close this and go back to our presentation. Yeah, so during those 2 months, we saw how our social media channel transformed into an open access experimental space with multi-functions. And because of the flexible nature of digital platforms, our artists were able to customize the space to their needs. And then, yeah, we really saw the potential of digital residency as an incubator for new ideas and shared experience. And more importantly, it kind of allows artists to become active facilitators. And but of course, we also need to mention that because it was our first digital residency, we faced some challenges along the way. For example, to keep the audience reach and engagement high, we had to be actively promoting events on social media, believing that the artists will follow their original schedules. In our case, because it was a precarious time, we had to change the dates of a couple of their live sessions at the last minute due to their health issues and then personal issues, which actually made us lose a number of audience toward the end of the program. But when I look at how program unfolded and how our artists enjoy the experience, I can say that it was a successful experience for ourselves and then the artists as well. So 2020, in April, right after the first Speak Air program, the world entered a new phase of the pandemic. As all you know, all exhibitions were canceled. Physical residencies had no choice but close their doors temporarily. And at the same time, we saw the increase of online digital residency programs, particularly in Europe. And there was always a heating debate around physical versus digital practice, not only in the artist residency sector, but also the entire cultural sector. And then this eventually made us question the dichotomy between physical and digital space when we all when we were and then still are actually engaging and interacting with the two worlds at the same time every day since the pandemic. So this idea and then the thought became sort of the opportunity for us to reevaluate our residency operation and then to explore a new model that reflects the liminal state of our current world. And fortunately, in the same year, we got to organize a pavilion for the Bangkok Baino, not as a speak art, but as a curatorial collective little. And so we decided to use this occasion to experiment with the idea of liminality. So before going to the next slide, I'm just gonna play the trailer. Yeah, so we made this trailer just inspired by the idea of liminality, because at around that time, artists were trying to present their works in the way that they could deal with all the restrictions during the lockdown. And we wanted to support their creation and then try to realize their vision in some way. Okay. Next. So, yeah, it's to reflect our new reality and new relationship with the physical and digital world. We wanted to present works both in a physical and virtual space. And to realize that, we used an open source Blender to model an actual space and development software Unity for simulation. Now there are many virtual platforms to choose from, but for this occasion, we use Cluster, which is a Japanese startup virtual reality-based event and environment platform. So on Cluster, anyone can create their own virtual world and upload it here and then play it and share with the other users. So I'm going to show how this platform works. So yeah, you create the world and upload it, and then you can invite up to 100 users, if I remember correctly. And in that world, you can chat, you can show reactions, and you can share your slides on the screen virtually. And then you can even play games with other users. So there's so many things you can do on this platform. Yeah, so all the softwares that I mentioned are free. Blender and Unity require a bit of skills and patience, but once you learn basics, you can do so many things with them. So using all these softwares, this is the result that we achieved. So to us, the uncanny similarities between the real exhibition and the virtual exhibition were sort of the representation of our current relationship with the two worlds. And yeah, artists were very pleased with the outcome and surprised to see how their works were digitally transformed and then give a different experience to an audience. We also created a virtual event space where video works were presented every week. The realistic but also a surreal kind of environment created a unique experience, and the audience was loving the kind of drive-in theater feeling too. So this new way of presenting and experiencing art definitely made us want to continue using the digital platform as a tool for our residency practice. So coming back to our Speak Air program, now we are preparing for the second edition of Speak Air. This time we're collaborating with Motomoto, an artist residency located in Kumamoto, Japan. I met the founder Hanako at the Artist meeting actually in Kyoto. And not only do we share the same vision, but we both wanted to create something unique and special for creators, especially during this difficult time for everyone. And so for the second edition, we decided to give artists a theme. So now we are inviting one artist working in the fields of digital art and new media art to explore our theme which is Zeno in the Age of New Media. So I like to play the trailer with audio this time. I hope it works. Okay, yeah, so we define Zeno as a foreign entity that constructs its own reality by rejecting universality and installing an updated, reimagined self. We naturally came up with the theme as during the lockdown, we all spent so much time alone and started reflecting and learning who we really are and who we can be. So we wanted this edition to be a place for artists to express themselves and really reflect their relationship with the ever-changing world. So this time, how does this program work? So the selected artists will conduct research online for a month and continue to work on the project on their own until the physical exhibition in October at Motomoto. Of course, due to the travel restriction, we're not expecting artists to be on site, so it will be a remote residency, remote exhibition. So we're hoping that our digital platform will function this time as a digital mind map and physical space as a sort of a lab. And we'll be using all digital tools used in the previous projects, including Blender, Unity, clusters, social media channels, and probably augmented reality for an exhibition. We're not sure yet, but that's one of the options. And now we're in the selection process, and the online program will start on 7th May. So yeah, that's pretty much about our program. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mary, very much for your presentation. And I would like to encourage everybody to write questions in the chat. I will read them aloud. And by the way, Mary, do you have any kind of virtual gallery, probably VR, or some kind of platforms for the exhibitions?
Well, I don't have a virtual gallery, but what I did is like I just created it's called World, and then uploaded in the virtual space. So it kind of worked as a temporary virtual gallery.
Oh, great. Thank you. And we have a comment from Tom Mills. Thank you, Mary. Really interesting.
Thank you.
And Mary, what do you think? Like we all know that we are in the era of the digital revolution, and we are all moving online and digital. And what do you think? Which art mediums would be of the top priority in the next years?
Well, in terms of priority, I don't know, our residency takes any kind of medium, but I think the artist needs to be flexible to a way of presentation or to a way of engagement. For example, I could show a sculpture work, but maybe it will be transformed into a sort of a digital form, and then if artist is okay with it. So I don't want to restrict medium because the artists work with the traditional mediums. So I'm more open to any kind of forms if artists are okay with, if artists are flexible about it.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question from Michael. What the structure for the residency? Do you have a schedule, recurring meetings?
So for the first edition, we didn't really have a meetings, but we communicated through WhatsApp. So the residency lasts a month, and then time to time, I check on the artist, seeing how she or he's doing. And then, yeah, it kind of went smoothly without me involving in, you know, making a tight schedule for artists. So because the artist kind of became the facilitator of the platform. So yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you. And we have another question from Tom Mills. What project is on currently?
So our second edition will be on different platforms. We haven't figured out like how yet, but then it will be on Instagram, Facebook for sure for the live streaming purpose. We're thinking also about creating the blog, so for artists to make a daily post. So you'll be just like a sketchbook for artists, and everyone can have access to it. Also for the online events, I really wanted to be engaging for artists and then the audience as well. So I will do that on the Cluster, which is a virtual platform. So it wouldn't be like as formal like the Zoom meetings, but it will be more like sort of like a game kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, I really like the idea of this artist sketchbook, like a kind of sort of inspiration for artists. And another question, like with this digital transformation we are currently facing and the problem of climate change and the ecological issues we also have, what do you think? Can digital residencies and the virtual worlds can help in this situation we all are?
So for the environmental crisis, we're all concerned about that, and artist residencies, especially like the traditional ones, require artists to travel by airplane, and to encourage the physical mobility, everyone needs to take sort of the there's always like an environmental cost to it, and doing the virtual residency definitely I think that help well, because it doesn't require physical mobility, it helps in that aspect. And then, yeah, there's definitely a great potential for solving the issue, I think.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for your answers.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to present the next speakers who answer me for my letter to invitation to take part in digital art mobility. As a, can I answer you in the end of March, because now I in the PhD process. And I understand what Tom, very busy man, and he must prepare some presentation, yes, for this conference, but they have very unique program and unique residency, and I want to meet you with this experience. Few words about.
Yes, let's tell a few words about Tom Mills, the director of the Digital Artist Residency from London. He is an artist, curator, and PhD researcher at Falmouth University. He has exhibited internationally, including at Gyeonggi International Ceramics Biennale in Korea and or London, the Center for Contemporary Art Lasniak, Dansk, and we 139 Amsterdam. Tom has recently exhibited at Format International Photography Festival 2021, and as well he is a lecturer at Fine Art at Plymouth College of Art. He is a curator and founder of the online platform Digital Artist Residency, which is an initiative that provides support for artwork created during digital processes, exploring the boundaries of art and technology. And Tom, we all would be happy to hear your presentation.
Thank you very much, Lucy and Elena. Thank you for that introduction as well. It's very kind of you. Yes, no, I've been very busy recently. I just submitted my PhD thesis, so it's handed over now, so it's slightly less busy. But yeah, thank you very much. So I'm Tom Milnes. I'm the Curator of Digital Artist Residency. So I've got a presentation, but I've also got some links to some of the projects that are live and online now. So I've just put that in the chat.
Sorry, Tom, we can't hear you. Something happened? Oh,
sorry. I think I accidentally muted myself. Sorry. So I was just explaining that the links I've put in the chat are projects that are online and live now, and I'll be speaking about these. So you're welcome to view the presentation, but you can also go and see the live projects in their natural state online in a bit more depth as well. So let me just share my screen. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So I'm hoping everyone can see that. So yeah, I run the platform Digital Artist Residency, which has been going since 2015 now, so nearly 6 years. And there's information there about the Twitter and Instagram and how to get in contact with us. But it is a digital online platform that provides opportunities for artists. As I say, it's been running for about 6 years. And when I set up Digital Artist Residency, it was there weren't a lot of digital residencies around at the time. There are a few temporary ones set up by institutions, but not like now. There's a lot more residencies available, and in some fantastic ones that are virtual galleries and sites that cater for a lot of different audiences as well. But when I set this up, it was fairly new, and I benefited from physical residencies as an artist, and I knew that they were great places to focus for artists to be able to focus on a finite project for a certain amount of time, and to be able to develop work that got publicity and potentially funding in order to help you develop your practice, if you were, especially for emerging artists. And that's something I wanted to replicate with DAR. Certainly for those artists who can't afford a studio or can't necessarily afford to have physical residencies and fly, but want opportunities to be supported in their work, certainly through digital practices. So let's advance this. So one of the first projects we started doing was about the sort of materiality of the internet. So interested in actually born digital projects, as they're known, that work with sort of landscape that couldn't be done sort of in galleries, or necessarily wouldn't be done as well. So this is Elena Kendall Aranda, whose project, the Ghost Town Initiative, looked at ghost towns in Spain and how they're abandoned villages, and she repopulated them by using actors and people, and then sort of captured them using Street View 360 photos, and was able to actually put this back onto Street View, so you can go in and see around these ghost towns and actually view how she's intervened with it. And this is Keough Chen, who's our first artist to do sort of a live stream of these ant colonies that were zombified. So this is about sort of the digital glitch in nature, and how this fungus overtakes the ants, and they sort of become this sort of robotic creatures that get taken over. And there was a live stream of how they start changing behavior, really. So those are first sort of a few projects that we're doing around like live streaming and working with the materiality of the internet, and how you know, these projects are sort of are more suited to being online. And as I was mentioning earlier, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to set up DAR is because it can be very difficult starting off as an artist and trying to sort of fund your way through. So these were an Arts Council England funded project that they were an award for emerging artists in residence. So up to 6 recent graduates would be able to apply or get awarded, and they would get a 2-month residency, a physical exhibition, as well as artist fee, materials, travel fees as well. And so these are our first 2 projects from 2017 and 2019 that developed into an exhibition at an artist-led studio and gallery in Oxford called Avada. So these are some of the works that were created during the residency and the exhibition. So artists worked online and developed work that was digital based, but then with the idea of realizing these in the physical world as well, often through 3D printing or video or actual sculptural installations as well. So some of the artists here sort of working with like film, Sid Smith, and Alif Ibrahim is working with the ideas of digital imagery physicalized. And also Mark Blazel there, whose works with the idea of abandoned virtual sites, actually, that like Second Life, and taking assets from them and making them physical. And a lot of his works involve just walking around virtual spaces and accumulating all these sort of digital objects and then making them physical in sculptures, like the sofa and the hi-fi and the phone that you can see there. So these are a couple of physical exhibitions that have happened due to, you know, DAR being online, but also working collaboratively with local artist-led galleries as well. Another social engagement project was this by Andy Abbott. You can see here on the bottom right, there's a map around what is Oxford, and these are sites of different augmented reality works. So this was an augmented reality experience that Andy developed, where he went around the city of Oxford in the UK, and in the bottom left and the top right, you can see this performance poet who was filmed in 360 video, and you could go to these sites, scan a QR code that was hidden in the actual location, and you'd get a 360 VR or AR experience of him performing it at the location you're stood in, actually. So this was the lyrics or the poetry of it was actually developed by an online engagement through Digital Artist Residency, in which people responded with their ideas or lyrics for these sites and what they evoked, what they found important, or certain walls and buildings that spoke to them. So this is a completely collaborative digital project that involved audience participation, and then more sort of audience participation in actually being able to view the videos in situ as well through AR. With Digital Arts Residency has also been involved with the Wrong Biennale. So the Wrong Biennale is obviously it's a biennale, once every 2 years festival of internet art, and our exhibition for that was called Wretched of the Screen, taken from Hito Stale's book of the same name, and it's about the ideas of screen, materiality, and the sort of the virtues and the curses of the screen-based media that were so prevalent at the moment. But with this, there were 12 different artists who were selected who worked with the ideas of screen-based media in different ways. And again, it was I think it was a 4-month-long exhibition and residency in which it evolved with artists. The artists you can see here making different works. Some of these are online works, animations. Some of these are sort of performance, live stream works that you'll be able to see shortly. So I'm going to highlight a few of these artists that I think worked in very different ways with the ideas of the screen. So Alfred Morris again is an artist from Manila in the Philippines. He wanted to work with the ideas of the immediacy of social media and the internet, and how we're not necessarily present within our screen-based devices and are constantly sort of streaming and being in several places at once. In his work, Envoy looked at the ideas of live streaming from remote locations as well. So his work included several live stream performances via Instagram of a journey or pilgrimage from a volcano in the Philippines called the Taal volcano. And some of these treks that he went on for many hours to sort of remote locations that were interrupted by problems with connectivity. And then that was displayed in the physical gallery show as well, the whole sort of live stream of these various sort of movements between the Philippines, the volcano, and somewhere sort of metropolitan and connected like Oxford, where it was displayed again. The next artist in this show was Matthew Keff, who worked in quite a different way. He works with the ideas of animation and game and screen-based attention. So he's worked, he created a game, a physical touchscreen game, much like the sort of Candy Crush, these kinds of sort of addictive reactions, and sort of involved a touch-based interaction with the audience as well. And these works you may be able to hear, but there's a pointlessness and a sort of frivolity to it that there is no actual aim in this game. It's sort of like it just craves your attention and develops a sort of, I guess, a narrative based on a capitalist sort of attention economy, but there is no actual end goal or any way you can win this. So it just goes on forever, and the animations change and keep your attention. And that's what Matthew Keff was wanted to sort of critique, I guess, in that a lot of these things are just, including Facebook and Twitter, are just there to gain your attention and keep them in the money. So that was the wretched of the screen. Digital Arts Residency has been involved in a number of research projects as well around the ideas of the physical and the digital relationship. There was one at Modern Art Oxford last year about called "This Image is No Longer Available," that involved a series of talks, live stream performances, some artworks, installation artworks as well. So there's a live stream performance from Australia to the UK by Emil Zeal that involved working with ideas of 2 or several live streams going at the same time, and the disconnected and the lag between this sort of the ideas of connectivity in live streaming and the remediation of various networks as well. So there's discussions in that about the sort of the prevalence of the problems and quite a critical sort of engagement of the physicality. So Hermione and the other researchers there were working with the ideas of the problematics of 3D scanning, and how the physical objects are not the same you know, how 3D scanning isn't the same as having a physical object, or recreating these 3D printing isn't the same. I was going to move on to our current works, or our recent works as well. So in the last 12 months, I've been working more with groups of artists to create exhibitions. And our most recent one, which ended just recently, but there is an archive online. It's called The Preserving Machine. And the Preserving Machine is a research group of artists, a research collective that work with the ideas of 3D imagery, whether that be 3D scanning, printing, CGI animation, photogrammetry, you can see here, also 360 video, different forms of 3D media that are involved in this fantastical landscape. So these 3D models are created from different methods: 3D scanning Venus de Milo, or animations of a hummingbird. And this is a game-like environment which you can walk around. So you can go to Digital Arts Residency. I've put a link in the bio, and you can see the Preserving Machine, walk around it much like a game, and actually engage. And when you click on the actual objects within there, you go to the further sort of research about those works as well. So this is developed with another virtual gallery called Implied Gallery. Go and check out there. They've got an archive of really interesting projects as well. But yeah, these projects came about through a discussion between various artists. And the idea of the Preserving Machine is actually a science fiction short story by Philip K. Dick about a professor who wanted to keep and preserve the temporal and transient objects of the world through replicating them. And we thought this sounded like a sort of allegory for digital technology, really, that we're obsessed with replicating, representing, and reproducing lots of different things through digital media, and certainly for things like 3D scanning or printing. And that's how this work has come about, through various forms of digital replication. I wanted to show a little bit of A Close Isn't Home, which is our current project, but I was going to actually show that by actually going on the website now, so I can show you what's going on. So let me just share the live Digital Artist Residency page. So our current residents who've been in residence since March are Close Isn't Home. Close Isn't Home are a duo, Sam and Grace, Samantha Vasa and Grace Kwan, who are based in the US. And their project works with the ideas of 3D or digital assets. So the ideas of things like Sketchfab or CG Trader that have digital assets such as 3D scans or 3D generated models. And they noticed that there aren't really many from marginal cultures or BIPOC cultures. So part of their project is to work closely with people who want to be represented through the objects of BIPOC people, in a way of working collaboratively, but also then being able to generate sort of a more less generic sort of set of imagery that is based around sort of the sort of popular culture, and actually developing something a bit more interesting. So these are some of the artists they're working with, and as they say here, there's like there's various different projects they've been working on. So some really interesting, if you go and check out their work, like their grandmother's quilt, which is based around the sort of particular techniques of silk work or quilting that is apparent within Pakistani and Indian cultures, and that's true of the Pakistani and Indian sodas as well, which they're working. These are obviously quite familiar to a lot of people, but you would never really see a 3D rendering of these kinds of objects on someone like a CG Trader or Sketchfab. So they've taken it upon themselves to actually make sure that it isn't just the generic objects, and that other marginalized cultures are more represented within sort of these Western sort of cultural hubs as well. So go and check out they're currently updating this with new assets as well, 3D works, and there's they're keeping it up to date with the artists they're working with and the sort of discussions they're having as well. And it's really interesting to see how they work closely with people from all around the world in order to generate these works, and the sort of stories and objects that come out of it are quite personal as well. But yeah, that was about it really. I was just going to share my last slide, which is just the Digital Arts Residency Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and some information about the site there. The links to some of those projects I've just spoken about are in the chat. So if you want to check out any further, go and have a look at that. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank
We already have a question from Odette. We talk a lot about the ways we can create in-person experiences digitally, but I'm interested in your thoughts on whether the fast changes of the last year will push the interest in work that has already designed to be digital. It's certainly come to my notice a lot more lately.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's an interesting question. I partly think, I hope so. I think, I think people understand, or what I've noticed in the last year is obviously there's been a big increase in virtual shows or works that have sort of suddenly been transformed to virtual spaces, digital online spaces. And I think with that, there's been a certain amount of clumsiness and maybe cynicism from some big institutions, as well as some others that they think they can, or are just trying to transform what is a physical show or physical works online or digitally, and coming into sort of various problematics with that. So I think there have been more collaborations with people like myself that understand that this is a different sort of materiality and a different audience, or how, it's a different way of engaging with an audience that that should be considered, and there are people who are skilled at doing this. Certainly the amount of artists who've worked with on Digital Arts Residency, there's such an array of amazing artists that work with digital medium in such a skillful way, in such a nuanced and particular way, that I think people are realizing that this is something of worth, and not just because of something like NFTs that are giving it a sort of a financial or monetary worth, but that there are really skillful ways of communicating with an audience with digital media that can be quite flawed, really. So yeah, I'm hoping that the digital and online sort of shows get a bit more sophisticated, and there is a bit more respect to the people who are already doing them well. So, and I know that there's already some people speaking today who know that all too well. Like I know Deformal do a fantastic work online as well, and they're doing some really interesting, challenging work. And Marie's stuff earlier is another excellent project. Hopefully that bigger institutions will realize this and sort of pick up those people and understand their skills, really.
Thank you, Tom. And could you please tell a little bit about the structure of your residency? How do you use an open call structure, how you pick up your residents, and how you evaluate whom you would like to be listed at your digital artist residency?
Yeah, you're right. It's mainly through open call. So we normally do open calls via our Instagram, or we do it through Curator Space. And we try to obviously be fair and like support. It's normally a monthly, like each artist gets 1 month and they apply with a proposal. To be honest, we normally go for projects that you know, cannot be replicated elsewhere. So projects that are, you know, born digital or important. It's important that they are on the internet, or at least that artists have thought about how the work or they will engage with an audience online, either through the website or through social media. So that is something really important that we try and push through and state in the open call that you know, that the best works or the most interesting works engage or want to test that sort of engagement with an audience. And yeah, I think we've obviously been interested in sort of having a quite a wide remit of different kinds of artists. So not just looking at artists who work with CGI or virtual technologies, but people who maybe are not that you know, understanding of digital technologies, but are interested in communicating with the audience or in a way that is perhaps unorthodox with, you know, is a critique of social media, perhaps. Like an artist, Alex Rodney, worked with the idea of an art market, an online art market that is through exchange, a labor exchange. And Alex didn't have knowledge of digital art or digital, you know, skills such as animation, but had a good proposal for something that was an interesting way of working with an audience online, and, you know, engaging with people to sort of create, you know, a trade between yeah, different practitioners, such as poets and writers and digital artists, who are actually exchanging sort of gifts and creating an art market that way that isn't based on yeah, monetary or sort of yeah, financial sort of gain. So yeah, that's the sort of thing we are interested in doing, is sort of projects that think about that engagement with an audience. Excuse me.
Thank you, Tom. And we have another question from the YouTube live broadcast from Michael Krasovich. What do you think of NFTs and the commodification of digital works?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Obviously, it's a very hot topic at the moment, and you know, I think there'll be other people who have a deeper knowledge than me, but I think in some ways I find it kind of curious that there is such interest with it as well. I think, you know, this is obviously a really important time for those people who are interested in the sort of the commercial side of artwork, and, you know, for commercial galleries and art fairs and things like that, because I find slightly cynically that it's a way of they've invented a way of commodifying digital artwork, and that's why there's some people who are suddenly very interested in it, in that, you know, it's suddenly a whole market of assets that are sort of open and free, and I think, you know, this is more of a question about financial markets, really, about how they work, and especially with, you know, the crypto sort of financial markets, about how people are sort of trying to take advantage of, you know, the burgeoning aspects of them, really. So I don't think in a way that it really it changes digital art in many ways. I think it changes perhaps the art markets more significantly. But a lot of these works have, you know, been made from digital artworks that are established maybe 20 years ago. I think even Jody, the art duo, are sort of starting to do NFTs, and certainly there's someone like Constant Delart, who's a digital artist, who's created NFTs now of works that have created many years ago. So it's not as if it's new for the digital artist, but it's probably new for the commercial market.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Tom. And we, I would be present to you new next speakers. I present two speakers together because they both co-founder of one of the oldest online platform, oldest art residency. Yes, digital artist residency co-founder Winston Chen and residency curator Wednesday Kim. They together create cool project, and now we can to hear how this appeared and what they do and how to take a part for artists, yes, in this project. Yes, yes. And Olena, talk about both speakers, please.
Yes, thank you. And
Only about first speaker, yes.
Okay.
It's first it's Vincent,
okay.
yes.
Winston Chen is a co-founder of the Formal Residency from New York, and he's a New York-based artist, curator, and residency director. He is co-founder and director of the Formal, an online first platform dedicated to promoting artists who work with experimental mediums under-recognized in the conventional gallery system. The Formal conducts artist interviews, curates online and offline exhibitions, and hosts monthly virtual residencies. Vincent works in sculpture and installation, and his work explores the tension between shame and desire, especially in the exotic. He explores this idea in atmospheric multimedia displays that borrow iconography from queer culture, children's media, and Abrahamic religions. And Vincent, we would like to listen to your presentation, please.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Vincent Chen. I'm the co-founder and director of Deformal. I'm here today with the other co-founder and curator of Deformal, Wednesday Kim, to talk about our programs and online residencies. For the first part, I'm going to give you an overview of what we do, how we run the residency, and the tools we utilize to coordinate with artists. The second part, my partner Wednesday will give you a walkthroughs of some digital installations created by our residents during their residency at Deformal. All right, let me share my screen. Can you all see it?
Yes, it looks good.
Thank you. So Deformal is an online artist-run platform founded in 2015 by Wednesday Kim and I, dedicated to promoting critical conversations in contemporary art. We focus on emerging artists working in sculpture, installation, new media, and expanded art. We conduct artist interviews, curate online exhibitions, and monthly virtual residencies. We do regular interview with artists worldwide working in installations, digital art, and other experimental medium that are underrepresented in the established institutions. We want our interviews to shed light on behind the scenes of artists' work in progress, thoughts and ideas, the difficulties they face in the art world, and good experiences they have had to share. We're very lucky to have interviewed so many incredible artists around the world. And we're planning to start a new program to interview curators, organizers, and platform owners that pushes the boundaries of the current art world. These are some online exhibitions we have done in the past. This is with Tara, Interview with a Human Hybrid. It is an online exhibition we did in 2020 with a guest curator, Alice Scope. The exhibition investigates the thoughts and emotion of Webtara, an imaginary character that is part human, part animal, part supercomputer, cyborg, in a series of videos, images, and interview conversations. This is Bad Habits, a digital exhibition curated by Wednesday Kim and I in 2019 as part of the Wrong Digital Art Biennial. The exhibition is a survey of contemporary video art. It examines the digital world's impact on our perception of consumption, romance, politics, and the self, with serious humor and through the very medium of digital art. The exhibition is composed of 5 thematic sections. Each section has their own room. These themes are alienating consumption, utopia, modern myths, urban war, and digital hypnotism. Each of the gifts on this map you see takes you to a different pocket of the exhibition. We created a custom page for each artwork featured in the exhibition. Here's an example of a video piece by London-based artist Nu Tian. And this is a page featuring a performance piece by artist Miriam Nie. This is a show that is currently under production called The Rise of the Care Machines, co-curated by Wednesday Kim and Flavia Viscount. It is going to be a virtual 3D experience built with Spoke by Mozilla. In this show, we gather artists that are also mothers working in digital art. It is a show about the relationship between digital art practices and motherhood. It is scheduled to be open in June. So we have been doing digital exhibitions, online interview features, and working with digital artists for a few years now. And in 2020, as we all know, the pandemic happened. All physical programs are either shut down, canceled, or postponed. We were thinking, how can Deformal, a digital platform, create a space for artists to experiment on browser-based art? We wanted to create a program that still allow artists to continue their practice, generate conversations, and harness communities in this dark, isolating time. We know that many people are either laid off or have to relocate and leave their studio due to the lockdown. So we want to facilitate a program that is not only free to apply and participate, but also easily accessible, that anyone with a computer and internet connection can participate. That is when we decided to start our residency. I'm going to go over the residency in 4 parts, starting with Residency Overview, then the digital platforms we utilize, the way we communicate with artists, and lastly, the tools we use to help organize our artist talk with our residents. Deformal Residency is a 1-month-long program, having 1 resident at a time. The residency is a virtual space for artists to explore and create digital installations, to build international communities, and to have dedicated time and mental space for experimenting on something new. The first 3 weeks are dedicated to studio time, research, and creating work through the provided web portal. And the last week is for presentation and celebration. Residents have the option of having live streams of their work, hosting virtual artist talks, themed webinar, or even live performances. At the end of the residency, we also conduct an interview with each resident, and the interviews are featured on our website. We provide each artist with a Wix account, and recently with a New Art City portal to explore digital studio practice. These web portals uniquely function both as a virtual studio and gallery space to display digital installations our residents create. Wix is a flexible website builder that works almost like an Adobe program. You can customize everything in the builder freely without needing to follow any templates or grid structures. This kind of flexibility Wix provides is the reason we choose it for our residency, and the ease of use can also help artists that were not familiar with the digital space, help them to have easy access and to experiment. And New York City is an incredible platform and community for online exhibitions. Every show is a 3D multiplayer environment designed and built using their online drag and drop editor. It's almost like Squarespace, but for 3D environments. Visitors can see each other and chat while exploring the exhibitions, and viewers can access shows on any desktop or mobile device in their web browser without registering, downloading, or configuring anything. New York City makes making 3D environments easy and accessible. We highly recommend everyone to check out their website. They have a ton of amazing virtual installations created with their toolkits. We encourage different approaches artists can choose to during the stay of the residency. The first is in a form of digital open studios where the public has access to the residence site throughout the process, where the artists do some setup in private and then have a curated series of updates. For example, our resident Billy Ocean created 4 digital installations and published one of them every week. I'm going to go through these screenshots pretty quickly. My partner, Wednesday Kim, will give you a walkthrough of the digital installations I'm showing you right now and give you more context with each piece. So this is Billy's work for week 1 and the second week, the third week, and then the final week. The second approach is to create and install work in private and publish it in the last week as a digital installation. Here's an example of a piece by Adrian Pihan. And this is a piece by Sandra Arujo. And the third approach is to create 3D experience using New York City platform. This is a digital installation by Sophie Rogers, our resident last month, and the piece is titled 3 Minutes to Midnight. It is a research-based project, and this installation is the manifestation of her research in ecological time, environmental change, fungi, and interspecies relationships. It is currently on view. Make sure to experience it on New York City. You can find the link on Deformal's website. We asked our residents to send us weekly work in progress pictures. We then post them on our Instagram stories. They function as sneak peeks of the projects, and it kind of built up the hype for the final presentation. On our Instagram account, we have a dedicated section for each resident that highlights all of their work in progress, final presentation, and promotional materials. For communication, 1 week before the residency starts, we send an onboarding email listing all the details of the residency and different approaches artists can take. To make sure that each artist fully immerse themselves in the virtual experience, in the onboarding email, we emphasize that mindset and dedicated time are incredibly important to the online residency experience. Despite being browser-based, this is an artist residency and it requires them to approach it like one. Plan on setting aside some time each day to log into their digital studio. Consider creating a dedicated workspace that allows them to concentrate on creating work. Tell their friends that they're in a residency and allow themselves to step back from their typical routine when they can sink into the experience. We also set up weekly virtual studio visits, like video calls, to go over their concepts and progress. It is a chance for us to know the artists more and for the artists to talk about their work and thought process during this isolating time. We then set up a final meeting after the residency ends to talk about the work and ask them for feedback for improvement, because the digital residency format is all very new, and we want to make sure that with every round, every artist, we keep improving and we ask for their needs and we try to provide that. After every round of residencies, we host a group panel and invite guest speakers, our curators, who are prominent in the digital art space to facilitate the conversation. each artist give a live walkthrough of their work and talk about their concepts. Afterwards, followed by a conversation with the guest speakers, like Q&A, and then some dedicated networking time for the artists to meet other artists and curators alike. For our previous artist panel, we have 3 of our residents participating the talk, and we're very grateful to have Peta and Elliot from Offsite Projects as guest curators. Offsite is a digital platform. They curate a lot of amazing digital exhibitions, and they have a zip show as well. You can download them as a package and experience digital exhibition in that way. When we use Eventbrite to organize the event, they make the process for registration and sharing information very easy. And they're free to use as long as the event is free to participate as well. We will keep using Eventbrite for our future event for sure. And like organizing event virtually can be difficult. To make sure everyone participating is on the same page, we create like a timeline clearly stating tasks and deadlines, so there are no surprises. And just to make sure that even though we're not in a physical space together, everyone's on the same page, and there's no surprise, and we all know what to expect to generate the best outcome. And thank you. That is, sorry about that. That is the end of my part. And next up will be Wednesday, and she will go through some incredible installations with you guys and give you some more details and context about the artists. Thank you.
Maybe somebody from the audience have
No.
questions?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, after both, but
Okay.
we have the few words about next speakers.
Wednesday Kim. She's a residency curator of the Deformal Online Gallery, California. She is an interdisciplinary artist and a co-founder of the Deformal Online Gallery. Wednesday is from Seoul, South Korea, and she is currently based in California, and she works with a mixture of analog and digital media, including 3D animation, video performance, installation, print, and sculpture. Her work is informed by personal experience and human psychology. She derives imagery from nightmares, intrusive thoughts, and childhood trauma. Furthermore, she portrays the absurdity of information-saturated contemporary life in a surrealist fashion through wordplay, Wikipedia, voyeurism, and witticism. Her works has been shown in El Museo Cultural de Santa Fe, New Mexico, USA, Syrian Cultural Center, Bilbao, Spain, Cultura Lanzarote, San Palma, Spain, Bipolar Gallery, Leipzig, Germany, Pulse, New York Contemporary Art Fair, the Dock Art Center, Leitrim, Ireland, Merdar for Contemporary Art, Cairo, Egypt, Kadaf, Miami, USA, Art Night, LDN, 2019, London, UK, Museo d'Arte Contemporanea di Roma, Rome, Italy, and Mimosa House Gallery, London, UK, and more. On Wednesday, we would be pleased to hear your presentation.
Hi, I'm Wednesday, and I will take you guys a quick tour for the digital installation made by our residents. Can you guys see my screen? So this is our page for the online residency, and if you scroll down, there's overview, guideline, requirements, and apply button. And this is Adrian Gary, our current resident. And I will start with our first resident, Billy Ocean here. So Billy, sorry. So Billy Ocean, she is an experimental filmmaker and videographer based out of Bay Area. And I will take you to the digital installation. I don't think the sound is working for the screen share. I don't know why. So this is her first page, and she divided into 4 pages and open to public weekly, like a weekly open studio style. And this is the first page. So she have some writings, the sound, some videos, and the second page also has a sound and videos. So her works are very breathy and internal. Sorry, is it working? Because okay, sorry, my computer acted a little bit weird. So her works are very breathy in internal deep dive into subconsciousness. And the main concept and idea of her residency was love, deep love, reclamation, and rebirth. Like love for each other and for radical self-love, love for her ancestors and her Black people. And this is her performing. And the last page, so she has like videos of performing and some writings also, and there we have like incredible like sound. So her works have many fluid water themes, and they are representation of cleansing, healing, and rebirth. And I will jump to Sandra. Sandra is non-binary, gender queer digital artist based in Lisbon, and her work, Sandra's work involves game aesthetic and illustrating how the social media constant communication between Trump's presidency, the social media that became a deep mass of information. So Sandra trying to explore the logic of connection action versus collective action through influence of social media and AI algorithm. And it's about the corruption of language and its use for populism propaganda through social media platforms. Sandra utilized the installation by using browser's 9 holes golfing game of Trump. So these are the holes, and this is the Trump playing the golf. And so you follow through 9 holes, the virtual representation of physical activities. And also like each Trump, you can just click it. For example, here at the last one, if you click it, the icon in this page, it's linked to the other pages of news articles and YouTube's like extra information for the residency. And Adrian Pihan is New Mexico-based artist, and he explored the mythological landscapes of both real world and digital space with focus on the paranormal as contemporary folklore. And his project is research based, and it's exploring the vision of ufology with narrative and mixed with current political theories and policies. And he used the browser as a mood board of the main character named Terry, who has Neptunian look. So this is Terry, and he is from another planet called Alpha Draconis. And he's been trapped in this corporative office. And the mood board is a collection of Terry's motivation and throughout thoughts and interest. So this is the postcard from his home planet, and he's keeping the dream journal, and the artist himself also keeping the dream journals. And him taking a break here, and probably he's thinking, is it Friday yet? And this is his workspace setup, and some information about the reptilian and drawings of reptilians. And here's him trying to have a lunch break. And this is actually Adrian, him performing himself in these videos. And those memes are inspired by the UFO community. There's a rumor about the serpent's voices. They call Pleiadians, and they are all white, blue-eyed, blonde, and pretty face. So some memes. And this image is from Dr. Howard's Alien Hour, which is YouTube channel by the artist. So probably Terry is also like subscribed to this channel. And another dream journal here, like he really misses home. So this is a last video of this page, and I'm gonna just stop talking a little bit and let you guys watch a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the sound. Yep. And I will hop into Maggie Hudson's work. So Maggie is New York-based artist from LA. And Hudson's work explored the theme of resistance and healing in a cinematically real world of violence. And she's also a founder of the Jubilee Justice digital art project called JJDEP. And her residency project involves social activism, and it's a collaborative format that and has a mystery game and narrative aesthetic. So if you click it, it will take you to the main room. And there's a toothbrush. If you click the toothbrush, it will take you the index. So also she created all the pages here. And so she's been exchanging the sketchbook with DW, who is a teenager girl in a secure center for girls. It's a maximum detention center in the Hudson Valley. So the whole concept was creating for an avenue of escape through fantasy for DW while she is stuck at the center. There's the moon. If you click it, it will just take you back to the main hub again. And so I'm gonna share this video, the episode 2 unlock. And it's their first step in this. So it's her first public step in this project, and they have been building a multimedia project since 2019. And it's about DW's avatar character called Luna, and this is Luna. She's a little green moth goddess who is imprisoned in the moon. And she met her first friend here. I'll wait a little bit when it comes up. So this is Seven here, who is seven-legged octopus, and it's Maggie's character. And so it's a journey of isolation in order to escape. So I believe it's not just art project, it's more like empowering. And she's still working on this project, so she's going to be keep updating, and so stay tuned. And Sophie Roger. Sophie Roger is based in London, and she works with digital softwares and using CGI animations. And her residency is science research based, and here is her installation. We collaborate with New York City, as Vincent mentioned previously. So here's her installation. I will just go walk through a little bit, and you can just walk and you can also jump. So it's an interactive game which takes its starting point at the moment in 2007, when climate change was added as factor affecting the doomsday clock. And the doomsday clock was introduced in 1947 by Bulletin of Atomic Scientists and is a metaphorical non-linear clock which represents scientists' estimation of how close we are to global disaster. And also, Sophie was inspired by Donna Haraway's idea of focused integration of multi-species survival with a particular focus on fungus network and interspecies communication. And I will just walk around a little bit to show a bit. And here is portal to 3 minutes to midnight. It will take you to other space. If you just learn into it, it will take you. And from here, you could also like sign for the guest book or take a screenshot. Also, they provide a 2D catalog, so you can just like read out and stuff. I will go back to the virtual here. So in this space, Sophie and invited artist Tosk Kataran at Ayatana Mycology Research Residency. So it's all about their research and conversation you could listen here. And I will jump into our current resident, Adrian Gary. Adrian Gary is based in Taiwan, and it's not done yet, but we will open in April 20th. So Adrian Gary is based in Taiwan, and she's building an online game called Amy's World using my Unreal Engine. And the theme of the residency is a celebrity wife training camp. And it's an organization led by a woman named Amy. And they specialize in training young women who wants to marry celebrities or wealthy businessmen. And I think it's commentary on absurdity of contemporary culture. So please stay tuned. It will open on April 20, and I'm also super excited to play this game. So our artists use the residency to share radical self-love, social justice, scientific research, and interactive games. Because of their residencies and work, they made the formal residency very, very meaningful and special, I think. And we are excited to see more. Feel free to visit our residency page. I highly recommend visiting the formal for the full experience, which is really important to explore their full installation and check out their interviews. And follow us on Instagram for the future updates. And thank you.
Thank you. I will have a small numbers of question for you both. I think you choose who can answer, okay?
Yes, because both of you, Winston and Wednesday, you were speaking about the same project, both your common project, and we will ask questions and maybe you decide who you would like to answer. And we have a comment from Tom Mills, amazing project. How closely do you work with the artist in designing, creating the works pages, or do you leave the artist to it?
It depends. Some artists have more of a vision they already have. And if that's the case, we are completely just let them fulfill the vision they want. And other artists who have less experience in building web installations, we give them more input and more technical help. And so it's on an artist by artist basis. And during our our studio visit, weekly studio visit with them, some artists, we focus more on the concepts and just ideating.
The artist.
Yeah, and some
Please
other artists,
continue.
we give them more tips and we design the work together.
Please continue. Everything is fine. We hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So it depends on the artist and how much of a visual vision they already have in mind.
Okay. Thank you for the question. If everybody have some more questions, please ask. And we have a question about the traditional classic galleries. As far as I understand, you work in the field of digital arts for 6 years. And do you experience some interest to your work from classical galleries? Maybe they wanted to make a physical exhibition of the digital works?
Are you asking that will we collaborate with physical galleries?
Yeah.
We're currently talking with some spaces to curate some offsite and in real life exhibition as well. And we are also hoping that we can collaborate with maybe get a window space and in New York City in Lower East Side that our residents can have a physical presentation when the digital work is completed.
Yeah, because we have a case in Ukraine when one of the curators wanted to tokenize all the works and then burn them. So what do you think about that?
I don't know. That sounds very interesting. Yeah. But why?
just to bring the art only into the digital world and destroy it in the physical world, as it doesn't matter anymore to be physical.
Okay.
Just art can be purely digital.
I really enjoy that idea. It's kind of like reminds me of like a funeral or like an emotional burial of some kind, and to leave the corporeal body and to transcend into the ethereal of the internet world. And kind of reminds me of like transhumanism and how they want to use cryonics to suspend human beings and eventually upload their minds. And I see the similarities and parallels with mind uploading, except it's not consciousness and it's art. But I think burning objects contribute to climate change in a bit. So I don't know if that's necessary.
Thank you. And we have a question from Mary. Great project, Winston and Wednesday. Do you accept applications on a rolling basis?
We accept the application for the interview, like on a rolling base. But for the residency, we have the exact day for the open call date and like deadlines and stuff.
Yeah, so we do 2 open calls for the residencies every year. And we focus on the proposal when we choose artists, and we prioritize artists that have a proposal that is specific for the residency. So we don't really choose artists that have an ongoing project and who wants to use the residency to keep working on it and yeah, we rather artists who have a specific proposal that they want to create within this 1 month, and we all communicate and help it realize together.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more question about the role of the curator in the digital projects. I'm just interested how it works. Do you support artists? Do you advise them? Do you consider and work out the space together with them? And do you help with the design?
We only help if they want our input with the design. We don't want to intercept too much of what we think something can look like, because like how Wednesday showed you, every artist have very uniquely different approaches, and that is the most exciting part of this residency, is how each artist utilize the digital space to facilitate their ideas and all of that.
Yeah, we design more for the exhibitions than residency programs.
Thank you, both co-founder of The Formal and Vincent and Wednesday. And I thank you because your experience, I think maybe I show them, I talk what is oldest, yes, oldest, because you have a very long history of your residency, and thank you for agree to present today with, and I think many somebody in YouTube asked about how seen up. I think maybe it's about applied of your program, yes, and we answer for this question. Thank you, and we have a next speakers, but before I want to also talk about what most of curators of digital art residency, digital galleries and different projects, they most of them is an artist, not only curator, and they understand both sides of the process very well. And now we talk about how appeared digital art residency. After we talk about how work digital art residency, we talk what project appeared in this in the process of digital residency. And now I want to present you Nikita, who talk about what next when digital works is created. Nikita
Khudyakov is a media artist, XR diver, educator and cultural manager from Kharkiv, Ukraine. He's mainly working with XR and AI, managing VR festivals, developing art communities, XR Art Ukraine and Crypto Art Ukraine, building virtual galleries and the metaverse. Virtual Experience Meta Council was presented at Ars Electronica 2020 in Kepler's Garden. Also, Nikita is teaching XR at Karazin University in Kharkiv, Ukraine, managing and participating in audio-visual jam sessions with electronic music and visual art, and curating online exhibitions. As an artist, Nikita is focused on topics of ecological issues, mental health, and speculative futures. He's passionate about the intersection of art, social projects, technologies, and futurology. More and more, he is digging into the production of immersive arts and using game engines, virtual drawings and design tools, dolls, and more. And Nikita, please, we would like to hear your presentation.
Hey. Thank you for inviting, and congrats with the great conference. I enjoyed all the presentations. All speakers are great, so enjoying the conference. Yeah, so I will share my screen, and actually I want to to bring this topic about NFTs, crypto art, ecology, of course, and how it all connected and how it all can be incorporated to the cultural projects. So a little bit about my background. So I'm mostly involved in the virtual reality and augmented reality projects of different kinds. So 2015 we managed the hackathon in intersection of arts and virtual reality. And actually in 2018 I was experimenting and building the virtual gallery for crypto art even then. So yeah, then there are several festivals of virtual reality and augmented reality art. And last year I found myself as a builder of virtual spaces and expos in collaboration with architects, with curators, with art projects of different kinds. And one of these art projects was called Kara Agora, and it was developed in quite a big international team of 6 curators all over the Europe, and we thought how we can build a virtual art center, what it could be, and how it could operate, and develop different kind of art projects there. But mostly it was hosted on Mozilla Hub, so it's virtual spaces, and there is like a central public space where we had some concerts and discussions and meetups. But then also artists developed virtual spaces as art pieces, and the whole project of Kara Agora was managed and grouped for like in 4 sub-projects. So one of these sub-projects I co-curated with Agnes Karolina Bach from Hungary, and we was playing with the idea of speculative playrooms. Like, what if we could imagine a future and create a playroom to experiment with different concepts about future. So, for example, this space was made by artists who participated in this project and was about mental health in virtual environments. And then there are even more different virtual expos with digital artifacts of different kinds, like 3D objects, and the whole space itself as an art project. So yeah, all this happened, and mostly funded by grant programs. And for me, it was always a question how it actually could be more sustainable. And then, you know, all this hype around NFT happened. So NFT, everybody's, so I'm already sometimes like, instead of saying hi to my friends in the art field, I'm just saying NFT. So it's definitely a hype topic, but I wanted to bring this up and to brainstorm a little and maybe raise this question on how we could use this and not to be not to be to make it ecologically aware and make it like a conscious project. But to start thinking about that, I wanted to just briefly tell that we're talking about specific digital certificates that allows us to sell digital assets of different kinds, arts also, and this thing actually grew much for last few months. So currently it's half a billion of market share, and it's growing very fast. We'll see how long this process will go, but still this is something that could affect pretty much on a digital art scene definitely, and on art scene in general, I suppose too. So you maybe heard of this big news about selling digital arts for 69 millions from a digital artist called Beeple, and the Christie's made an auction. So this is a kind of milestone for all this topic, and definitely this big news and hype around it is bringing more and more people. So we developed a community in that communicating in Telegram. So if anybody from Ukraine, from art scene could be interested, then you could actually join to the community by in a Telegram. So yeah, use this QR code to go there. But what I can see from the discussion and from dynamics about it, like there are definitely some pluses and some minuses, and there are more artists in a field. There are like lots of communication. It's pretty energized communication happening in the Telegram. I'm like losing lots of messages and notification is always ringing in my phone due to this chats, but it's still very interesting to check what is happening there, who is like posting another digital art piece to like marketplace, who have some sales and stuff. So lots of communication happening, more collaborations, different kind of transactions, sales, of course, but also it gives us interesting phenomenon of FOMO, fear of missing out. So it's not always we have some time to think and make something like consciously. Sorry for my English, I'm not sure I'm saying this right, but I'm saying that there is actually a big topic we should all discuss. And I'm talking about ecology and how blockchain affects to this. So there is one quite unpopular article, Unreasonable Ecological Cost of Crypto Art. And it's can be found on Medium, and the QR code goes there. So there are lots of different interesting information. And one of some portion of it is about calculation for how actually one artist due to minting process and all the sales and other transaction, how it affects ecology in terms of CO2 footprint, and how much energy is used for calculation to make this happen. And it seems like it's pretty dramatic numbers. So if we're talking about like average artist way for like an activity for period of 11 months, I suppose this was a calculation for this article. It's equivalent for like 3 years of EU residents' electricity consumption, for example, or like using a laptop for 83 years. So it's quite a big numbers. And if we compare it into other things, like for example, average annual European emissions, which are like according to one of the sources. Of course, there are tons of different, and I'm like viewing to different articles, but it's not from what I can see, it's not a big difference from different articles about these numbers, and the general picture and general situation is looking like only with artistic activities in a non-ecological blockchains, where like we can double the emissions budget for artists, which is definitely not a good thing. So we need to limit, of course, our CO2 emissions and footprints from different activities, and we need to go lower to be inside this budget of 2.3 K of CO2. But above this existing activities and footprint, we can add some more in case if you're an artist and doing some crypto art and doing some NFTs. It's actually not so bad because there is different other strategies that I recommend to check. So first thing should be considered is that there are different kind of blockchains, and the most popular one, which is Ethereum, for now it works on a so-called proof of work model, and it's super huge numbers for energy consumption. But there are lots of other alternative blockchains which is using proof of stake model, and it's not an ideal thing, and definitely the solution is it's a path. We should think and all develop these different ways and strategies how to minimize the consumption. But still, for now, it's one of the things that can be done. So how exactly, what exactly it means in terms of what should I do as an artist or a curator or cultural manager? So maybe you are already familiar with the marketplaces of different kinds, and there are some popular, for example, Super Rare Foundation or known on Origin, Nifty Getaways and Nifty Getaway and stuff, and others. So these are not only ones, and all these in left are working on an Ethereum blockchain and is using proof of work model and not optimal in terms of CO2 footprint, as I think about it. So there are an alternative like proof of stake model, as I said, and different other platforms. And this list and the first list is not the full one, of course. It's like hundreds, and there will be even more. But you can check like some alternative and go and mint your digital art without doing lots of harm to ecology. So I'm also doing this kind of projects, and actually as an artist also like tokenizing some pieces. And actually I do know that for this conference the title image is made from one of a Ukrainian artists, and it is placed on one of the platforms. So you can find this art piece at this platform that's called Hic et Nuns, or maybe it called another way, I'm not sure, but yeah. And I'm also using this platform and like posting like 3D objects of different kinds, and this object is also could be thought as a space for exhibition. So and I'm planning to make an exhibition inside this 3D model, inside of this 3D object. And the project I initiated called Art Sexualism, and we're planning to make an opening April 29th. And thing is, we are collecting and creating a community for artists who are interested in working in crypto art in this ecological way with proof of stake blockchains. So these and other projects that are trying to be ecological or like more optimal in terms of CO2 footprint could be found with this hashtag that's getting more popular. It's clean NFT. Yeah, so these are like main thesis I wanted to bring up to this conference. And since I wanted to have some time maybe for some questions, I actually want to yeah, to finish with the presentation and maybe go with the discussion.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. While we are waiting for the questions from other participants, could you please tell a little bit more about the community Crypto Art Ukraine, how to get there, what you are doing there, what questions you solve, just how it works?
Yes, because we think what is very similar as a digital residency program.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for questions. So I do have this experience of building communities of different kinds. And first, I was trying to manage it to develop a community around movie making, and it was pretty hard. So what I found during this movie making community, and then I was trying to make a game development community, that's while you are doing something as an initiator, as a cultural manager, it works somehow, it lives. But then if you are not actually participating, it's pretty hard to build a community that sustainable and members are contributing with some information and sharing the info. So it's actually, for now, it's very different to what I can see in crypto arts community. So for now, it's just a Telegram group, and it's like super horizontal thing in terms of communication. There are, for now, not really lots of rules there, so it's pretty anarchic, but it works well. I don't see any bully person or something like this, so I do see lots of support, advices, even from artists that do have a bigger experience, because there are actually several artists that works in this field for 2 years already and have a pretty interesting history of exhibitions, amazing works, lots of publications, lots of sales as a result. So they're also participating in the life of this community and sharing their experience. So like additional thanks to Yuri Miron, to Alexey Yalovega, to Nastya Yalovega, to Igor Repchuk. It's they're pretty amazing. So I can see it's really working without anyone pushing the community or saying like, let's do this or let's do that. And this is the most wonderful part from NFT, actually. Like the level of energy and communication inside like digital art, media art community is huge. Like lots of new people around, like people are like starting to experiment, to like position themselves as artists. And like some could say it's brings lots of not a high art, not a quality art or something like this, but I'm thinking in an opposite direction. I'm like thinking that like it's more self actualization, self realization is better. Like let's all be artists, let's all post like NFTs. It doesn't mean that like it will be hard to find a good art if you know what exactly is good art for you. Like it's always will be some clusters and activities like galleries and like residences of different kinds, like the previous speakers was managing. Like these kind of projects will still be curating the whole scene and be showing like the most interesting things that are going on. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Thank you. And we have another question from Tom Mills. Fascinating studying of the environmental impact of NFTs. Nikita, do you think it will change the way people make digital art?
Yeah, so first I understand that due to time of this talk and to other reading, and there are not lots of information yet there about ecology and NFTs. It's definitely worth to dig in and to have a discussion maybe with other perspectives. So I understand that any one opinion could be not enough to get enough information about that. So don't be too, I don't know, trustful to the info I presented. It's just one of the sources. Yeah, and regarding on how it could affect to digital art, I found very interesting examples of how actually blockchain is used as an artistic medium. So you can go further, not only tokenize your image 3D model art piece of any kind, you can use the blockchain itself as one of the mechanics for your art piece. Like it could be an interaction of some way, or a way you could store information, and the way that nobody could remove it in the blockchain. So you could use your art as a container for any information that should be stored for a long period. And then there are very interesting projects, for example, from artist that call himself Pack. So he's doing interactive things with the blockchain, like separating the art piece on different sections and then tokenizing different sections. And there is a website that shows only those parts of a image that were sold. So this is also one of the interesting mechanics. Then you can create like generative algorithm that create arts, create like images or something, because the art project in this way could be considered in a bigger frame, including the generative algorithm itself. But then each piece could be tokenized also. And there are much more different scenarios, and I think we will see even more later, or of how actually the blockchain itself could be a part of art projects. And this is just the one way we could think about it. Another thing is that how it's boosting the communication. So we will see I think we will see lots of new names, and from the discussion of new people with existing art market and experts, it seems that we are rethinking existing theses and existing rules of art market. So the whole discourse, cultural discourse, is really like shaky for now. Like I do see that traditional art experts keeping a serious phase during this kind of a discussion, but actually it's pretty amazing. Maybe we will rethink some of fundamental things that are for now we are thinking as true, and we could maybe switch it somehow. It's sorry for this long answer, but I think it's also corresponds to like topic of metamodernism as a maybe new discourse that is happening right now, and like traditional art scene and philosophy scene also not always ready to set it to name it as a already existing and like something solid. But it's definitely like I'm feeling that the whole environment and whole cultural field is changing, and NFTs is one of these like big signals about it. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say it's interesting that you mentioned the idea of blockchain as a process, or the generative sort of algorithms potentials of this and how that could change digital art as well. And I think it's because one of the more interesting versions of NFTs that I've seen is the Mad Dog Jones work that's come out recently it's been sold by Phillips auctioneers, so really big fine art auctioneers. And they're talking about this idea of the multi-generational NFT. And it's like how it produces and randomizes other artworks that then become sellable, and they don't know how it's going to do that really, because there's a certain randomization within it. But yeah, and the imagery within that is maybe not so interesting, but the process of how it's made, I think, is interesting. And I think there's definitely potential there for how the blockchain or artworks that use the process of the blockchain and algorithms, the nature of materiality of the internet is going to be fascinating over the next few years. And I don't know whether this really changes the way people think about the their digital lives, and the sort of all the structures behind it that control all these things.
Yeah, thank you for these questions. Pretty amazing. Hope we will use all these features like without harming ecology. So like #clean NFT once again.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nikita. I want to ask the last question. It's very simple. How you think digital art? It's a globally art mobility. It's about globally or about mobility, because we talk about art mobility, but always talk about the globally maybe involving artist and curator, different organization. But we not talk about mobility. Maybe we don't need to use these terms.
Is it a question for me or for?
Who want to answer, please?
Yeah, maybe I can come in on this a bit. I think some of the ideas of mobility for digital artist residency has been around the ideas that the costs and the accessibility of it for like emerging artists or artists from around the globe, or people who don't have necessarily the access to other artistic funds, like marginalized artists or from marginalized backgrounds, are people we've tried to support certainly over the last few years. So I think the idea that using these platforms to be able to sort of mobilize the voices of people who are marginalized is an important aspect of it, and that's certainly how it's guided my you know, the projects that I'm interested in. Certainly, you know, how can we give voice to people that you wouldn't normally hear about through the internet, or even through art institutions as well. So I think digital art has a big role to play in that. That's something that, you know, I know Deform will do, and I know Maria was talking about earlier as well. I think that's an important thing to sort of increase in its prevalence as well.
Thank you. I think we, if somebody want to talk about something or maybe ask some question, it's a last chance in this conference. Please try. If not, we can stay in touch in general chat in YouTube, yes, near the live stream, and can to talk with speakers in other Slack. Yes, and I hope today we can to inspire many curators and many artists to apply it and create, co-create good project. And I want to attention about co-create and create. Because we not only invite somebody when we as a curator start some program, yes, we start as an artist, yes, we build with some platform, with some canvas for a new project, and I very like this process, and I like the physical program, but digital program, what I tried last year, for me it's a very good thing, because people more openly and people more yes, courageous, yes, and when we can to open the opportunity to artists, they can co-create without helping, only have some place, yes, and we can look with experiences, with examples in different digital program, what we about we hear today what about different experience. I thank you all for share your experience. I thank you all who are very interesting of this yes, of this conference, and we promise to put on YouTube channel of Congress of Culture Activists the video with the subtitles, Ukrainian subtitles, yes, and we can share this video middle there all participant of this conference, and maybe a few works from Olena.
Yes, the video will be available at YouTube maybe in 2 weeks after we finish preparing the speeches and transcribing and making the subtitles. So both viewer audience like Ukrainian speaking and English speaking can enjoy all your presentations. I want to thank all of you because today I really enjoyed seeing this smiling faces of people talking about what they are most passionate in their lives. I'm happy to meet all of you. I'm happy to present all of you a little bit, and thank you so much. It was so interesting. Let's connect.
So thank you, and yeah, yes, it's cool. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you. And we can create different emotion, yes? Virtual emotion. Oh. Okay. Thank you, guys. See you, and stay in touch. I wish you a great new project and new art. Bye.
Bye, everyone. I'm so happy to meet all of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.